as I enter into another week of my nascent Eat, Pray, Love journey into the world of zero latency native plugins. I can't really tell if I feel like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz when things turn to color, or if I feel like Homer Simpson smashing his noggin on the way down the mountain. But I'll tell you this much. The plugin you're listening to right now, it's one we haven't talked about yet so far. This may be one of my favorites. Listen to that smooth top end. Listen to that full-bodied tone. This one is definitely a keeper. And I'll tell you which one it is right after opening titles.
You're listening to The Dangerous Mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov. No excuses, no BS, no pants.
Ladies and germs, meet the Amek 9099 from Plugin Alliance. I think this is a Brainworks joint over here. So, another Brainworks plugin. And they make some good stuff. But I like to call this one the new hotness. This thing sounds amazing. I am really smitten with this one. And I know some of you are going to really hate me right now. Some of you who have been purchasing the plugins that I've been showing you. And I hope you've been test driving them. Well, the full 14-day or 7-day test drive. This is a fluid situation with my plugins. And I got to tell you that this is one fluid that, oh wait, hold on. This is going down the wrong path. So this is one plugin that is really, I don't know, is really making me very happy. So you've got high pass filter, low pass filter, very, very, okay, I don't have to explain that, but it goes up to 30K. Pretty neat, right? You have this expander gate section. If I take the gate out, you can hear the background noise, and the expander is working perfectly. You don't hear any noise between my words, right? Sounds natural. Compressor. This is neat. So I can go from 2, listen to that. Listen to how transparent that sounds. I can go from 2 to 10, and it doesn't change the tonality at all. You don't really hear any big major difference to that. So if I want to just kind of leave it down here at 1.5 or 2 just for a regular read, or if I want to go over here because I want to do some crazy animation voices, we can do that. But I'd have to have my level set properly, but you know the deal. And this is also neat. Okay, two things here that I really like. You've got, hard knee, soft knee. I like a soft knee because voiceover is like getting kicked in the balls. So, and then you got the Ambnic button here, the ambience button. And if I enable this, you will hear the sound that's passing through the compressor, right? This helps you set your compressor. Check this out. So this is the part of the signal that's passing through the compressor. Obviously, if I change the threshold, we have more signal passing through it. So right now, that's what you get. Then you get this high pass filter, which I really like on compression, and I'll tell you why. Because there's often a lot of low-end energy that will activate your compressor's circuitry, that will trigger your compressor's threshold. Because a lot of that low-end rumble. But if you filter it out, and really you can, for a voiceover, you can go pretty high with this. Generally, I would keep it probably around 300, right? And that changes everything. So here again, very transparent.
And I can do some crazy animation voices.
And you see how that time I didn't blow out the VU meter? Because a lot of that energy that was blowing it out was low-end energy. All right, so again, wet-dry mix. Here's a limiter. Enough said. This is really neat. So the EQ section. So here's the EQ out, and here's the EQ in. A lot of people use the word musical when they talk about EQs. And I know that it seems kind of phony and douchey to say the word musical. My EQs sound so musical. But what they mean is it sounds very smooth, right? So you're not getting any weird resonancy harshness sometimes that you get with EQ. So this is really neat. Now, we got to remember that the Amek 9099 is based upon the Amek 9098 console that was designed by Rupert Neve. So if some of this sonically has a Neve-ish character to you, especially kind of that low mid, that hugginess of the low mid, it's because it's got Rupert Neve's fingerprints all over it. You can see his fingerprints, actually, this dirty smudge around here. We'll talk about that in a second. So you've got peak, turned it into a peak instead of like a broadband, like a broadband shelf kind of thing. Sheen is neat because it kind of rounds off that smooths out a little bit of the edginess of your high end, like tape would do. So it's a very subtle thing, but you can hear it smooth it out a little bit, right? So it's kind of nice, very tapey. All right, and you have the same kind of effect down here with the low frequency. You have glow, which if I put that in, right, you can hear how it smooths out the bottom, how it rounds it off a little bit, rounds it off, right? And I take it out, and it feels deeper, and I put it in. I'm sorry, that sounded wrong. So if I enable glow, you can hear a difference, right? So here it's a little bit of a deeper sound, and here you can hear it rolled off a little bit. So it's neat. It's a tapey effect that I like, a very analog tapey effect, kind of like the glow out. All right, here you got high mid-frequency, low mid-frequency, and here you can change the sweep from 500 to 4.5K to 1K to 9K. Pretty versatile, right? Same thing here, but in the opposite. So from 100 to 1K here, but the divided by 2 changes that to 50 to 500. So you have a lot of options here. And the EQ does sound really nice. Now this is interesting. So you have total harmonic distortion, which you can variably change, right? So you can dial in as much as you want, right? Well, not as much as you want, but as much as they'll let you. But you can have none. You can be totally clean. Now, total harmonic distortion here is going to basically simulate what a compressor would do. Or not a compressor, a transformer. Sorry, I'm an idiot. So a transformer, when you drive a transformer, you get that harmonic coloration that really adds that character to the sound. And what this is going to do is I add more THD. It's going to thicken my sound a little bit, like I'm driving a transformer. And it's going to add saturation. And I know that there are people out there who will tell you, never add saturation or distortion to a voiceover. But you know what? Sometimes, if you know what you're doing, sometimes a little bit of THD is going to help you cut through that music bed. A really aggressive music bed. If you've been watching this, you know that I do a fair amount of car commercials and car spots. And there are aggressive reads. Here, hold on. Let me do the tag. We got to do the tag. I'm going to do it with 0 THD. I'm going to show you the difference. Lease a brand new Honda Accord LX for only $219 a month at your local Honda dealer. Lease a brand new Honda Accord LX for only $219 a month at your local Honda dealer. Right? It sounded bigger, and that a little bit of extra harmonic coloration is going to help something like that cut through a music bed or feel a little bit more forward in your face. So it's a tool, and if you know how to use it, you can really use it effectively. It's very cool. This adds noise to your signal, which I think is something that they put in there, especially if you're using this channel strip for synths and stuff. So for me, we're going to leave that at 0. This is also neat. So TMT, what this does is it simulates the slight variances from channel to channel in a console. Now, what that means is, think about this. So the way they used to build consoles, so all those Neve consoles, all those API consoles, right? You talk about the console sound. And one of the things that makes the console sound so unique is that if you have let's say you have 24 channels on a console, or 72, this thing goes up to 72, right? So if you have 72 instances of the same circuit, they're not going to be identical because each of those components may have tiny variances from piece to piece, meaning that two 100 UF capacitors, right, may have a 10% variance between them. And so, of course, across an entire circuit, you're going to get a slight little nuanced variances across an entire board from channel to channel. They will sound almost identical, except you're getting these slight little variances. And this is what this does. It models little slight current level, voltage level variances in from across 72 different instances. Very analog-y. So here's one, and I found one that's, hold on. So, okay, so here's one. And then here's 56. So you can hear, this definitely sounds different than 1, right? So check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, right? So that's pretty neat. And then you can, so really it gives you another tool here to make your sound you, because that's what ultimately you want. And this is the thing. And again, don't hate me for suggesting all these great tools. I'm not telling you to open your wallet. I'm telling you to try these out. They all have trial periods, so try them out. So what you want is you want a sound that reflects your personality. Because if it reflects your personality, your voice, the emotional content, your emotional intentions will come through the strongest when you have a sound that reflects who you are as a person, which is why each person's VO journey, in terms of their tone journey, VO tone journey, is different. Each person's is unique. So if I suggest a tool that works great for me, it may not work great for you because it may not be what you're looking for. But I'll tell you this sound I really like a lot. I like it a lot. It doesn't sound flat to me. It sounds very, it has a nice clarity to it, and yet it still retains this analoginess. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. And this is the last thing. So remember I told you about it's funny, you have these dirty finger smudges, like finger oils and crap. And then you got this scratch here in the UI. And this is actually, I find this amusing. You have a simulated reflection of a studio. So here's like monitors, and here's like the desk, and like you could see like a keyboard, So, but you can change this from this like dirty old used console. And it's new again. Look at that. No more scratches, no more finger smudges. And then you can go, this is dark, right? It doesn't change the tone. It might change how you feel about the tone, right? It's kind of neat. It's neat. I like this. I like it with the finger smudges and scratches because it makes me feel like I've accomplished something. Oh man, I dig this. What I like about these plugins, and again, we're going to talk about the difference between Universal Audio and other plugins, is that some other plugins have some features that Universal Audio plugins do not. And like this one, so this has an undo. So if I decide, if I'm like, oh, I'm going to mess with the EQ, I'm going to turn that up here, and I'm going to do that, and I'm like, oh, what the crap did I do? I want to fix that, right? And I forget how it was. I can just go bip, bip, right? There's 32 steps of undo. So you can go back and you can really, if you decide you don't like something, or you can assign them, right? Those aren't assigned, but you can assign them to different, right? So you can have 4 different settings on each preset. I made a preset. This is pretty neat. I like this a lot. I also like, obviously, how there is a digital readout of what I'm doing, right? So I don't have to rely on just eyeballing it. That's something I wish there was more plugins would do. A lot of the native ones I'm finding do that. So again, I judge these things by how easy they are to interact with and ultimately what they sound like. So Rob wants to know, who do you think this solution works for? Who would you say check these native plugins out too? The answer, Rob, is everybody. Everybody. So when I started in VoiceOver, I was using just all hardware. And then I transitioned to a universal audio system because that was the only way to cut live through my plugins at the time. But now we live in a brand new, wonderful era of native plugins. And again, zero latency makes all the difference. And now all of a sudden, these are effective VoiceOver tools. And maybe I'm just a moron who couldn't figure out how to run native plugins before. Or maybe I've had my eyes opened up, but I feel like I've just entered the multiverse. So the idea of building more rigs, the idea of exploring more possibilities for VoiceOver chains, new plugins, I find that incredibly fascinating, so compelling. I am very excited. And I think that if you're someone who doesn't want to spend all that money on universal audio, there are a lot of great choices out there, affordable choices that give you great sound, really with an interface, a microphone, a laptop. And I like that idea. I like the idea of a portable rig that I could take anywhere, even just to other parts of the house. Like just for something different. Because okay, so last week I had a gig where I had to yell out. It was a car spot, and the opening line was "play ball" because it was for opening day of baseball, and I had to do it like an umpire yell. And doing it in the booth, doing a yell like that that's supposed to sound like a real person yelling, outside. And I'm like backing off and I'm doing it. And, quite honestly, it's something that I would have liked to have done outside the booth, really here in my office, over by my desk. I think it would have been better. My room's semi-treated. It's not fully treated, but this kind of thing would have probably sounded maybe a little bit better. Maybe I would have felt a little bit better doing that, standing up in my room. So if I built a parallel rig, my desk behind me in the room, to this, right? And I could do it without adding additional hardware. That would be pretty neat. I would like that. I would get use out of that. So who would I suggest it to? Everybody. Everybody who's looking for just something different. And you can get into these plugins for not that much. What did I pay for this one? $99. And I bought it. So again, what you're hearing from me, my effusive praise for the Amek 9099 is not a paid participant. I'm not a paid participant. I am not an employee of anybody who is involved in this. I am a purchasing owner who is smitten by the product. And I will put a link in the show notes, a non-affiliate link in the show notes, if you want to check it out. And again, these plugins comes with a 14-day trial. And I pulled the trigger on it within a couple hours of trying it. I know that I'm going to use this. So, I want to know what you think. I've been rambling forever, which I think is a sign of how much I like this. So I want to know what you think. Leave a comment. All right, until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading to black.